What is going on, Swoopers? Welcome back to another episode of Swoop Luke. In this episode, we'll be starting a 2023 prediction series, starting with who we think will be the most improved this year. Let's get into it. So 2023 beckons as a very interesting year. Now, you will hear that we are not that much of a young side. We've got all the old heads, and we do. We've got a lot of over 30 players still. Jeremy Howe, Scott Pendlebury, just to name like literally three, and a lot of guys creeping up to that sort of age. But we do have a lot of young, exciting players. Now, we saw the rise of Jack Ginnivan last year. Isaac Quayo dabbled in it. Johnny Noble. Nick Dacos, I guess if you can include him. We just saw just a phenomenal rise with Dacos. Now, I'm looking at players who I think will improve, not improve like go from a nobody to an All-Australian or something like that, but players that I think are having a good preseason so far, shown quite a little bit or quite a lot in 2022, and who's just going to take their game to the next level. Stick with me to the end of the video because I'll be putting up all of your suggestions as well. So the first player that I think is going to take their game to another level this year and be one of the most improved is Isaac Quayo. Now, Quayo, if you see my post or Collingwood's post or even his post as well, he looks absolutely fit, ripped, and ready to take this game to a next level. Now, he did really well last year. Arguably, I think 2021 might have been a little bit of a better year for him. Statistically, definitely, it was a better year for him. But I liked how he went about it in 2022. He's rebounding from 50. Very much a player that Fly loves, who just rebounds from 50, just runs and runs and runs. And that's what I think is going to take him to the next level this season. Now, he looks bigger, so he can break a little bit more contests. He can run a lot. Maybe he gets pushed. Look, I say everyone on halfback wants to get pushed into the middle. Maybe he does make a couple of appearances in the middle just because he is so quick, or gets pushed down to a wing a little bit. But the halfback position is just his bread and butter. He'll just get it. He'll just run for days, and kind of like what Jack Crisp was doing when he was running through the halfback line down through the middle, where he would just go and it'll be a kind of chaotic sort of ball, not really knowing where they're going, but the goal was to just get it long, get it into the forward line, and give our forwards the best chance of scoring. Now, Isaac Quayo, Johnny Noble does it a little bit. Like I said, Jack Crisp, Nick Dacos was doing it, Jeremy Howe, Darcy Moore, those sort of guys where they get the ball and they just run. Like I said, that's that chaotic ball. Craig McRae's way of playing footy. I just think that with another preseason under his belt, under Fly, Isaac Quayo is just going to rock it. And, you know, people on Instagram and comments and Twitter and stuff, they're saying that he looks like in All-Australian form already, and it's just preseason. So like I said, we can't look into it. And All-Australian, there's, you know, hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of players going up in a season to get picked from. But I think if not All-Australian, which, you know, it would be huge for him, he could just become one of the best halfbacks in the league. Another guy that I think is going to, the second guy that I think is going to show a lot of improvement is Arlo Draper. Now, when he got drafted, not last year, the year before, in the 2021 draft, he was hailed as one of the classiest and most skillful in his draft haul. There was a lot of players, there was a lot of people, even Cal Toomey from the AFL was saying that he couldn't believe that he slipped down to us. So Arlo is going to improve, and we might just see him a lot more in the VFL. Maybe he makes his debut. I'm tipping maybe 2 or 3 players, young players, make their debut, Jacob Ryan being another one. I really like the look of Arlo Draper. What I saw from his draft footage didn't show a lot last season. He needed to put on a little bit more bulk. His fitness wasn't up to scratch, but from what I'm seeing from training videos, again, Jen's Training Buzz on Instagram, he's just breaking contests. He looks much bigger and he looks more fit. And that's what you want. Where is he going to play though? That's the only thing. He was drafted, well, when he was drafted, he was playing in the half forward line. So, you know, does he start there? Kind of like what Nick Dacos did, where he started at halfback and he's probably going to transition into the middle. Does Arlo start at halfback and then transition in, half forward and then transition into the middle? Probably not this year, but I would like to see him in that high half forward role if he's running and if his tank is built for it. In the VFL last year, he played 16 games, mainly playing off the half-back line, sort of in the back pocket. And, you know, players playing that that back line to hone their craft. I don't think he comes in and plays the back, and like I said, maybe he plays that sort of forward because that's where he's sort of used to, and then maybe pushes into the middle, or maybe he does play the half back line and Nick Dacos frees up. Who knows? And he might be the first player this year to get a debut that hasn't played a game of AFL footy. Darcy Cameron, what an absolute diamond in the rough that we found. Coming from Sydney, obviously, he was going to be second fiddle to Brodie Grundy and maybe even third fiddle because of Mason Cox. Brodie Grundy goes down injured last year. Darcy Cameron steps up, and then he just took, maybe not the game by storm, but took his game by storm and the Collingwood Football Club by storm, because he led us into that preliminary final. What I love about Darcy Cameron is that he is just going to keep fighting no matter what, can go forward and kick a goal. So he relieves like Myercheck. He becomes second fiddle to Myercheck. Mason Cox then goes in the ruck. So it keeps the back line of the opposition guessing. But while I've put Darcy Cameron in our most improved, now he doesn't have Brodie Grundy to worry about. Brodie Grundy isn't going to come and take his spot. Who's going to come take his spot is only himself. So he needs to really put the foot down now, and he had a great season last season, but this is the season where we finally see Darcy Cameron emerge, in my opinion, as maybe not one of the elite ruckmen of the AFL, but definitely, I reckon he'll finish in the top 5 rucks next season. Dan McStay coming in, Billy Frampton coming in, you got Myercheck, you got Ash Johnson up forward, Mason Cox, maybe if he gets a game. There's a lot of players around Darcy Cameron that are only going to elevate him. And another preseason, knowing that he's the number 1 ruckman at the Pies now, is going to give him that confidence that he needs to just go and take his game to another level. The fourth guy I've got on here, and I just mentioned him, is Billy Frampton. Now, he was one of those guys where he was at Port Adelaide, then he went to Adelaide. They couldn't really get a lot of games. They was playing a lot in the Samful. Then he comes to Collingwood. Now, Collingwood, without Jordan Roughead for pretty much all of last season, we don't have a fullback. We don't have a big fullback like all these other teams. We've got Darcy Moore, Nathan Murphy, Jeremy Howe, and Braden Maynard going up against Lance Franklin, Tom Hawkins, Harry Mackay, Charlie Curnow, Jeremy Cameron. All these sort of big players where these guys who aren't one-on-one players, and I know, but a defender should be a one-on-one player, but they're not. The modern defender, like these modern defenders that we have, are peel-off players, they're intercept players, they're not those one-on-one big players. Billy Frampton, I dare say that he will be in our round 1 team, and he's going to stay in there for the rest of the season. I'm not expecting him to finish top 3 in the Brownlow, or have none of his forwards kick goals on him. What I'm expecting him to do is probably take the rucks a little bit in the back line, because he did a little bit of ruck work, but hit packs hard. He's a very good kick. Spoil the ball, punch it out, dead it out, give it to, hand it off to, Darcy Moore or Quayo or Nick Dacos, these guys that can run. He just has to nullify these big forwards. We were just calling out for Jordan Roughead to be able to be on these big power forwards. And ultimately, that's why we lost games, because in the Geelong game, Darcy Cameron, Jeremy Cameron and Tom Hawkins kicks a bunch of goals in that round 7 or 9 game, whatever it was. Then in the preliminary, in the semi-final, they do the same. Preliminary final, Buddy Hawkins is there as a little bit of a presence. In the Carlton game, you got their 2 tall forwards. So we needed a big, tall defender. And, he might not be the answer that we need, but he's the answer for right now. And I think it's his 3rd AFL club. He's going to want to stay on this list. He's going to be improved because he needs to improve. If he wants to be in our best 22, if he wants to kick out probably Nathan Murphy, he takes his spot, but he needs to improve to be in our best 22, play consistent football. That's why I've got him on this list. The last guy I've got on here, and he is probably on every Collingwood supporters list, is Finlay McRae. We thought last season, and I thought last season as well, that it was going to be Finn's time to shine. It really wasn't. I thought, oh my God, is this guy going to get delisted or traded or something? But no, they backed him in. They signed him a contract extension, if I'm remembering correctly. But he sort of battled a bit of a back problem towards the end of the season, and definitely in the preseason. He's just been doing rehab group work now. I think Finn can just be one of the best improved or most improved players at the Collingwood Football Club because one, we just want him to be, right? We have so much hope for this kid. And again, like Arlo Draper, he was another steal in the draft when we picked him up. I think we picked him up at 2 picks after Ollie Henry or before Ollie. No, I think it was 2 picks after Ollie Henry, yeah. But his skill, his class as well. He's a midfielder that could possibly take Scott Pendlebury's position or even Taylor Adams' position because these guys are getting older. So I think Finn pushes straight into the midfield. We saw glimpses of him over the last couple of years, but we really need to see him take his game. I keep saying this, but they just need to take their game to the next level. And I think Finn is going to be so hungry for success, and not only for team success, for personal success, because obviously, you know, he's got his brother that is just killing it, right? He's just absolutely killing it. Finn would see that, and we see that, and he'd want to get out of his brother's shadow, be his own man, and I think this is going to be the year where Finlay McRae just bursts onto the AFL scene. I asked you on Instagram, who do you think will be our most improved players this season? And this is who you asked for. A lot of IQ, a lot of Carmichael, a lot of Arlo Draper, a lot of everyone really, but there was a bit of a trend with IQ. Reef McInnes as well is a very, very good shout. Arlo Draper, Carmichael, I saw a couple of Beggs in there. So everyone wants these, obviously we want these young kids to improve. And will they help us draw this amazing story for the 2023 season? We will find out shortly. Let me know down below who you think will be our most improved player. Do you agree with what I said? Do you not agree with what I said? Let's have a conversation down below. But until then, like, comment, subscribe, tell your family, tell your friends, tell your pets, and until next time, double shackers, I'll swoop you later.